The 5 biggest mistakes most Bitcoin newbie investors make. Hey and welcome to today's video. My name is Julian. On my channel, it's all about making you crypto fit. That means we discuss about the beautiful world of blockchain, cryptocurrencies, most of all Bitcoin. Every once in a while, we talk about altcoins. And today I want to talk about the 5 biggest mistakes that I see from people, especially when they enter this space and they many times actually lose money rather than, do what actually the market has been doing over the past years. Namely, mostly has been providing very, very interesting returns. And actually, I'm going to be talking about a couple of statistics that show you that actually not making money in Bitcoin many times actually means that, you do one of those couple of mistakes. So let's dive in and take a look. Mistake number 1 is that you fall for scams. And this is actually quite common. And the reason is because Bitcoin per se doesn't have a company or doesn't have anyone that goes and does marketing for Bitcoin. So it's actually the community that's marketing for Bitcoin. But per se, no one has a benefit whether you join and buy Bitcoin or not. At the end, it is a community. It's like gold. Yeah, sure, there are companies who are promoting you buying gold, but if I hold a little bar of gold and you buy gold, it doesn't necessarily help me out. So obviously, there's always a bit of a difficulty or at odds who's actually doing marketing. Now, most of the marketing in the crypto space, sadly, is actually coming from a lot of scam companies that have aggressive multi-level marketing schemes. And at the end, this makes sense. These companies do not have a product. They market their scam coins or they market any kind of non-existing service, but they're really good and aggressive in marketing. And then what happens is many people get recruited by other friends or by family members who kind of try to trick them into investing in this new thing or in this kind of company that gives them 100% per year and it's just going to make them rich super fast. And many times this is how actually people who are initially interested, then they lose money because they find this crazy trader that promised them 1% a day in return. And for maybe 10 days, it works really well. And then on the 11th day, you can't contact them anymore. So my tip here, stick to the super large coins like Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum, kind of look for the really large and solid ones. Don't get tricked into those referral MLM schemes, very, very dubious. And then you should be kind of trying to stay away from this mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 actually ties into this, and it is kind of going for the really small coins, the coins that have no proven track record, the coins that a really good friend says, hey, this coin is gonna pump super hard. And my tip here is you can go with a small amount of capital in those small coins. That's absolutely fine. But I still believe the majority of your funds should stay in Bitcoin. It is by far the largest coin. It is by far the most proven coin. And hey, let's be real here. Bitcoin has a potential 100x. It actually has a potential 1000x. Now that's a bit of a stretch, but it's possible. So I'm not sure what more you want. Of course, again, there's nothing wrong with this. Look, I have part of my especially smaller portfolio. I own, for example, some DFI, which is like a really young company or a young coin that I'm actually involved in, right? I own a little bit. I own a little bit of Monero. I own a little bit of, for example, Maker and so on. There's these small projects that I actually own. But again, high risk, high reward. And still, majority of my money stays in Bitcoin and so should probably yours. Mistake number 3 is the amount you invest in Bitcoin. And to me, there are 2 amounts that are bad and there's only 1 amount that's the right amount. Now, what are the 2 bad amounts? It's too much and too little, or 0 actually. Now, 0 is a really, really big mistake because I really believe you need to have exposure to Bitcoin. To me, it's a must in today's investment environment. Too much, that is obviously very individual. But I'm telling you, many people that I know, they at the beginning, they're like all skeptical. I'm not investing. And then suddenly they take 50% of their liquid assets and put it into Bitcoin because it's going to make them rich overnight. And at the end, probably the right amount is somewhere in the single-digit percentage. So, I don't know, 5%, 10%. There's a lot of mathematical algo that says 6% is like an optimal amount. But obviously, if you are an ultra high net worth individual, maybe only 1% of your total amount might make sense. Or if you're way younger or way more optimistic, maybe 20% of your liquid assets make sense. So, but the biggest mistake is either zero or just way too much. So probably rather stay on the more conservative side. Also, another tip I would have is maybe kind of go in and don't put everything in one go. Maybe do 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So for example, if you're planning on putting in 10%, then put 3.3%, 3.3%, and 3.3%. Do it over a little bit of time. I think that would just really make a lot of sense. Now, this brings us to mistake number 4, and that is time. Now, time actually is very, very critical here because most people believe they can actually time the market. So they're constantly trying to time the market. They try to kind of find the bottom. They try to sell at the high. Most of the time, and with 99% of people, this does not work. This has nothing to do with Bitcoin per se. This is really the entire market here. So what is my tip here? My tip here is just understand the right time horizon. Time horizon is so important because there's some really good statistics in Bitcoin. If you're holding Bitcoin for longer than 4 years, it actually doesn't really matter when you get in. And this is a key point here. Now, just like you might be diversifying your amounts, you could diversify over time. It would make sense, for example, to do some dollar cost averaging. So stop kind of trying to find the lows. Just go in, wait a bit, next month, put something in, and step by step, dollar cost average into your total amount. And time horizon, at least 4 years. That has to be the time that you're willing to kind of give this entire investment. And look, statistics are not always obviously predictable of the future, but they are at least giving some direction. So pay attention to this. I think this is very, very important if you just don't want to kind of go for all these mistakes. And mistake number 5 is to listen too much to the media, listen too much to the Telegram groups, and to the crazy kind of groups out there. And the reason why this is really dangerous is because on the one hand, it gives you a lot of FOMO, fear of missing out. And on the other hand, it gives you fear of losing everything. And both fears in especially Bitcoin are quite unwarranted. I mean, it's really unrealistic that you're going to be too late with your investment in Bitcoin. And it's also super unrealistic that you are going to lose it all, right? So the reality is somewhere in the middle. Yeah, the reality is you might be losing 50% of your investment, sure. But it's very unrealistic that you lose 100%. It's also unrealistic that just because the Bitcoin price doubles over a month or something, that if you don't get in, you're too late. It's just really unrealistic. And many times the media makes you believe this. Many times in Telegram groups, you get all nervous. And don't forget, at the end, all of these people have their own agenda, right? So they're gonna talk their own book. It's very important to understand this. And so my general philosophy here is, well, except for maybe, and this is really a few exceptions where maybe I have some paid newsletters or I have some paid groups that I'm in to just get some really strong information, I'm pretty much out and I hodl. I just have a long time horizon. Majority of my money is in Bitcoin. I have a few alts like Ethereum, like DFI, like Dash, like Monero, like some Maker, and that's it. And if someone else comes around the corner and tells me they're a crazy pitch for 100% guaranteed doubling your money, I'm just gonna step away and I'm like, hey, that's all cool. Do whatever you want, but I'm gonna be doing what I want. And at the end, I think that's what's gonna be very, very important. So kind of pay attention to those 5 mistakes. I think if you just kind of do those properly, you're probably gonna navigate around a lot of the pitfalls in the entire ecosystem, and you should be really good to go on this. And as a final tip, and maybe as a side note, this video obviously is also sponsored by my own company, Cake. Now, we kind of take all those things here and put them into one go that on the one hand allow you to hold your crypto, but on the other hand, give you some really attractive returns by giving you cash flow on your crypto. And we do this with the philosophy of blockchain, completely transparent. So you can trust us, but you can verify every single step. So if you don't want to fall for any of those steps, if you want to have a long time horizon, if you want to kind of play with the large boys here, get some extra cash flow, then try us out, cakedefi.com. I'll link it up down below, and you're gonna get some really nice returns on your Bitcoin, on your Ether, on your DFI, on Dash, and many, many other coins. So try us out. We're completely transparent. Would love to welcome you as a user. And other than that, take those 5 mistakes by heart, avoid them like the plague. And hey, if you don't want to miss anything here, click the subscribe button, and I'll see you at the next video. Thanks so much. Yours truly, Julian.